Well, it's about time you showed up. Don't you even open your mouth and say a thing. Just pack up the important things and get ready. We are leaving in 20 minutes.
Excuse me? What the hell are you talking about? I can't believe you morons broke into my home and expect me to go anywhere with you.
Your mother already told you that we weren't interested in hearing you speak. Now shut up and get to packing. You're just lucky that Mr. Clark is still interested in marrying you. You promised me a 17-year-old girl. You're lucky I'm still willing. Although if I'm honest, you weren't the first family I've dealt with. Girls from poor homes like this one are usually more cooperative.
That comment stopped me cold. Suddenly his words weren't just creepy, they were revealing. The three of you are insane if you think I am going to do what you're saying. I highly suggest that you leave and never return. Hi, my name is Veronica, and I want to share something with you that I've never told anyone before. It's about how I went from feeling like I wasn't even a real person to finally understanding what it means to truly live. It wasn't easy, and there were times I didn't think I'd make it through. But I'm here now, and I'm proud of how far I've come. For as long as I can remember, my parents never saw me as their daughter. I was more like a trophy they could show off or a tool they could use when it suited them. They had very specific ideas about what I should be, and none of those ideas had anything to do with who I actually was or what I wanted.
Veronica, stand up straight. How do you expect anyone to take you seriously if you slouch like that?
And smile more. No one wants to be around someone who looks miserable all the time.
I was 8 years old when they said that to me at a family gathering. I remember feeling confused because I hadn't been miserable. I was just being quiet, watching the adults talk. But that was the problem. I existed for their image, not for myself. When I was 10, I wanted to join the school choir because I loved singing. I'd sing softly to myself in my room, making up little melodies that made me feel happy inside. Mom, can I sign up for choir? The teacher said I have a nice voice.
Absolutely not. Choir is for children who don't have better things to do. You're going to take piano lessons instead. It's more refined.
We're not raising some common singer. Piano will teach you discipline and give you a skill that actually matters. Honestly, we know best, Veronica. Just do as you're told.
I never got to join choir. Instead, I spent years at piano lessons, playing pieces I didn't connect with, my fingers moving across keys that felt cold and foreign. The music I made with my own voice, the songs that came from my heart, those were silenced. When I turned 13 and started developing my own opinions about things, the control became even tighter. I remember wanting to cut my hair shorter because it was always getting in my way, but that request was met with horror.
Cut your hair? Veronica, your long hair is your best feature. Men like women with long hair.
But I'm not trying to impress anyone. I just want it out of my face when I'm studying.
You'll understand when you're older. Everything we do is to make sure you'll be successful and attractive. Short hair makes girls look masculine.
But it's what I want. My father slapped me hard across the face. It was the first time that he had done it, but it wasn't the only time.
We said no. You don't have or need an opinion, Veronica. You're our daughter, and we make the choices.
I kept my hair long for 5 more years. Tying it back so tightly it gave me headaches, because even that small act of rebellion felt impossible under their constant scrutiny. The worst part wasn't the big restrictions. It was the daily erosion of my sense of self. Every choice was made for me. Every spark of individuality extinguished before it could grow. I think I'd like to study psychology in college. Learning about how people think seems fascinating.
Psychology? That's not a real career, Veronica. Plus, why do you need to study anything?
Your mother is right. We're not paying for college, so you can waste time analyzing people's feelings. We already have plans for you. Best you just accept that we know best.
By the time I was 16, I felt like I was disappearing. I'd look in the mirror and see someone I didn't recognize. I started having panic attacks, though I didn't know what to call them then. I'd just suddenly feel like I couldn't breathe, like the walls were closing in. The breaking point came 2 weeks before my 18th birthday. I had been counting down the days until I could legally leave, making secret plans to apply to colleges far away, maybe even change my name and start fresh. I thought freedom was just around the corner. Then my parents sat me down for what they called an important conversation about my future.
Veronica, we've been talking. and we think it's time you understood what real responsibility looks like.
We've arranged for you to meet someone. He's a successful businessman, a bit older but very stable. He's specifically interested in a young woman who's been raised properly.
What do you mean, meet someone?
Marriage, Veronica. We're talking about marriage. This man can provide for you in ways we've prepared you for. You'll never have to worry about money or making difficult decisions.
I felt the world tilt beneath me. They weren't just controlling my present. They were selling my future to the highest bidder. That's when I felt the air leave the room. Not just because of the horror of the idea, but because I realized something darker was at play. My parents weren't just controlling my life. They were trying to sell it off to save their own. I'd overheard fragments of their arguments late at night for months. Mentions of late payments, Mr. Clark being our last chance, and the word foreclosure. It all came together now. They were deeply in debt. They had already sold off my grandmother's jewelry, refinanced the house, taken out shady loans with crazy interest rates, and gambled away what little was left. Selling me off to Mr. Clark wasn't just desperation, it was their final escape plan. No, absolutely not. I'm 18 in 2 weeks. I can make my own decisions about who I marry, if I marry at all.
Don't be dramatic. Love is a luxury we can't afford to prioritize. This is about security and doing what's best for the family.
You don't understand the world, Veronica. You've been sheltered. We know what's best for you. Besides, Mr. Clark has already advanced us a generous sum, and he promised to clear our debts. It's a done deal. Now shut your mouth and do as you're told, or else you'll regret it.
I knew full well what that meant. That night, I made a decision that changed everything. I couldn't wait 2 more weeks. I had to leave immediately, even if it meant giving up the legal protections that came with being 18. I waited until they were asleep, then carefully packed a small bag with essentials and the little money I'd managed to save from babysitting jobs they'd reluctantly allowed me to take. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely zip the bag closed. I left through my bedroom window, the same window I'd stared out of countless times, dreaming of escape. As I walked away from the house in the dark, I felt terrified and exhilarated at the same time. I made it to the bus station just as the first morning bus was preparing to leave. I bought a ticket to the farthest city I could afford and tried not to think about what would happen when my parents discovered I was gone. The first few months were the hardest I'd ever experienced. I found a tiny studio apartment in a rough part of the city and worked 3 part-time jobs just to afford rent and food. I was exhausted, scared, and completely alone, but I was also free in a way I'd never imagined possible. I could eat wanted to. I cut my hair in a very cute short hairstyle. I felt completely free. I enrolled in community college classes, paying as I went with money from my jobs. My first psychology course felt like coming home to a part of myself I'd never been allowed to explore. My professor, Dr. Martinez, became the first adult who seemed genuinely interested in what I had to say.
Veronica, your essay on family dynamics was really insightful. Have you considered psychology as a major?
I've always been interested in it, but I was told it wasn't practical.
Who told you that?
My people who thought they knew better.
Well, I think you should trust your own instincts. You have a natural understanding of human behavior that can't be taught.
That conversation planted a seed that would grow into my future career. But more importantly, it was the first time an adult had told me to trust my own instincts. The healing didn't happen all at once. There were nights I'd wake up in panic, thinking I heard my father's voice telling me I was making a mistake. There were days I'd catch myself hunching my shoulders or speaking quietly, still carrying the physical habits of someone who'd learned to make herself small. But slowly, with the help of a counselor at the college who offered sliding scale fees, I began to understand that the voice in my head, criticizing everything I did, wasn't really my voice. It was theirs. But then my parents found me. They had been searching for me for years, and once they found me, they were furious. I came back to my small apartment after a very good therapy session to find the door had been forced open and my parents were inside along with a very creepy, older-looking man.
Well, it's about time you showed up. Don't you even open your mouth and say a thing. Just pack up the important things and get ready. We are leaving in 20 minutes.
Excuse me? What the hell are you talking about? I can't believe you morons broke into my home and expect me to go anywhere with you.
Your mother already told you that we weren't interested in hearing you speak. Now shut up and get to packing. You're just lucky that Mr. Clark is still interested in marrying you. You promised me a 17-year-old girl. You're lucky I'm still willing. Although if I'm honest, you weren't the first family I've dealt with. Girls from poor homes like this one are usually more cooperative.
That comment stopped me cold. Suddenly, his words weren't just creepy. They were revealing. The three of you are insane if you think I am going to do what you're saying. I highly suggest that you leave and never return.
Okay, that's enough. We tried to do this the easy way.
That was when my mother lunged at me. She was beyond angry, and she went to try to restrain me, but stepped back and punched her square in the nose as she did. She was not expecting that, and she tumbled backwards and fell on top of a glass table I had in my living room. The glass shattered as she fell on it, and she was cut up pretty badly. I then turned and ran out of apartment, screaming for help the entire time. My father and Mr. Clark gave chase, though, and they almost caught me as I got to the ground floor, and then I ran across the street. Mr. Clark and my father were close behind me as I dodged through traffic. I luckily managed to get across the street without getting hit. Mr. Clark and my father weren't so lucky, though. Both were hit by a truck that didn't have time to stop. When the police and paramedics showed up, all three were put into ambulances and escorted to the hospital. Mr. Clark died on the way to the hospital. As for my parents, well, the prognosis for all three didn't look good, but I didn't care. At least not until I got a phone call a few days later. The hospital told me that both of my parents were on life support, and as their only living family member, that they wanted me to come to the hospital so that I could establish a care policy for them. Confused, I went to the hospital and asked what that meant. I was informed that both were in comas and that with enough care that they would come out of them. The catch was that I would be on the hook for their treatment. Without batting an eye, I told them to pull the plug on both of them. The hospital staff told me that it was unnecessary and that they would recover, but I didn't care. With a smile on my face, I told them that it was my choice and I was choosing to pull the plug. With horror, the staff did as I said. By the end of the day, both of my parents passed away without the machines to keep them alive while they recovered. I felt truly justified and thought that that was as good as things could get. After all, I made sure that they could never hurt me ever again. But then weeks later, their lawyer showed up along with some paperwork for me to sign. As their only living family member, I inherited everything. Suddenly, I had hundreds of thousands of dollars to my name. With my newfound wealth, I quit my part-time jobs and focused 100% on school. When I graduated, I did so with honors, and I have spent my life since helping those that need it the most. I love helping others heal and find peace with their own trauma. It's kind of ironic, really, that my own pain and trauma became the catalyst to helping other people overcome their own. Later, when the police ran background check on Mr. Clark's, I found out he had a sealed record in another state. There were whispers that he had married 2 other underage girls from struggling families. Both disappeared from public view shortly after. Nothing ever stuck to him legally. Thanks for watching.